This is my Odroid Xu4 with the Cloudshell case from a company called Hardkernel. It recently stopped working. I probably did something to the onboard flash, so I'm taking it apart to take the flash out, plug it into an SD adapter, and then reflash it with a new image. This has a 2 terabyte Western Digital hard drive in it. And that's actually the hard drive sold separately, but the adapter for that goes through the USB port into the screen for the Cloudshell and then plugs into the hard drive. I don't use the screen for the hard shell. I had it working at one point, and then I didn't have anything to do with it. I treated it as a frame buffer device. I could draw to it, and then that was it, and it wasn't very useful. So it doesn't turn on without another program, and I just don't bother to run one. I'm running Arch Linux. I'm not running the Linux that came with it, and I probably did something wrong during an upgrade, or some upgrade removed what was on the flash drive, on the boot drive. I've got it set up so that the hard drive is formatted with one BTRFS partition. The reason I did BTRFS was in part because I wanted to play with it, because it's not a file system I've used very much before, but because it supported subvolumes and snapshotting. The subvolume support means that I can give separate mount points to the underlying, into the file system, and they more or less just work. And the snapshotting means I can do copy on write, volume snapshots. Copy and write just means that I've got, a, mount point or file system location that, could be huge, could be, several hundred gig, and to snapshot it takes 3 to 5 seconds, I think, is what I found so far. And that means I've got a point in time snapshot that's read only, and I can delete it and to, free up space, but for the most part it doesn't take up space to begin with, unless it's got files that the new version doesn't have. I just run Samba on Arch, doing a single giant file share, and this thing works great for network attached storage. The reason I got the Odroid or was interested in the first place was I've been trying to do some of this stuff on a Raspberry Pi 2, which is a nifty little computer. And the quad core on the Pi 2 it's nice, but the SD card is so slow, and the USB 2 support is slow. And it works for sensor networks, but when you're trying to do network attached storage, it's just not fast enough, and you'll notice it. With this one, it attaches a hard drive through the USB 3 port, and it comes with gigabit. And since I'm transferring largish files back and forth to it, it's really frustrating when trying to do that with a Pi versus with this thing. The CPU on this thing's kind of interesting. It was meant for cell phones. They call it Big Little. It's actually got 8 cores, but it's got 4 fast cores and 4 slow cores, and the idea was to conserve battery power. This thing's plugged in, so I kind of don't care. If they were all fast cores, if I had 8 fast cores, that'd be fantastic. Speaking of power savings, the power supply this thing came with was, I think I bought it as the recommendation of Hardkernel, was a 4 amp power supply. And the 4 amps is it's not enough power to drive the device and the hard drive. And it took me a while to figure that out. What I ended up doing is I had a 10 amp power supply, which I think is way more than I actually need, for a separate project that had the same pin out and 5 volts that this thing needs to run. So I plugged that in, and I actually have 2 of these devices, and both of them have been completely stable since I switched to the newer power supply. Because I did one, and then when I figured out that was working, I just bought more of the same power supply I was using. So that was nice. This thing has been serving me really well for a while. The MMC thing that it boots from is kind of interesting. That's what I took out before, and I just put back in after I flashed it. It's faster than SD cards. That was a big thing with the Pi 2. Basic testing, I could get 10 megabytes a second on an SD card. On this thing, 60 to 80, doing sustained transfer worked pretty well. So I'm pretty happy with this device.